So we're going to get started, and my name's Akila Gibbs, and I'm the executive director here. And I've had the pleasure to work with Ursula and the Assistance League, and together we want to help people rebuild their homes. And that's what today is about, and there's a variety of ways to do it. And I'm just happy that all of you are here and that you've had the time to come and listen to what I think will be an extraordinary example of rebuilding. I just want to say a few words about the Senior Center. We've been here for 65 years. This is our 65th anniversary. We offer just an incredible array of programs, everything from art to dance to photography, languages. Yes, we have five French classes in case you ever thought you wanted to speak French but didn't have time. You can come here now and learn that. So, and we also have specific classes for people like you who are recovering from the fire. And we have a grief and loss seminar that we invite people to come to. So please, and we also are giving out free memberships to people who, who come and want to join us, because we know the Altadena Senior Center isn't working like it did before. I know that they're back up in temporary facilities, but it's really nice here. We have lots of dancing and do lots of fun things, and we encourage older adults to thrive and to live with joy and dignity and purpose. So that's really our goal. So without further ado, I'm going to have Ursula to come up and talk about what today's event is going to be about. Thank you again, and please let us know if there's anything that we can do, and check in on our website to see if we have other opportunities for people who have survived the fires. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you to the Senior Center for hosting us today. The way our program will work is I'll give a brief introduction of each speaker right before they come up. They'll speak for, around 10 minutes, and then we're going to hold a panel. So where there can be some interaction among the various ideas, but also so that you can ask questions. When we finish the panel, there are tables in the back, and each of our presenters will be there, sometimes with other people from their programs, to tell you a little bit about what they're doing. This is only one in a series of programs we plan to hold in August, on August 12th from 10 to 12, we will be holding a program basically on how to maximize your insurance benefits. We will be doing that with the Senior Center here and also United Policyholders, another nonprofit organization. So we thank you for coming. Tell your friends. There is free validation if you didn't get your validation before you came in, and we'll go from there. We're going to start with the Foothill Catalog Foundation, and I became acquainted with the guys from the Foothill Catalog Foundation several months ago, and this is another nonprofit, and it started when a young architect decided, we have to find a way to help people come back. And I urge you to take a look at their website. But Alex Athison, who's going to be one of our speakers today, is an architect. I don't hold it against him that he's from Chicago, but he has lived here for 5 years. He first got a BA in economics, and then he went to Notre Dame, USC's big rival, but went to Notre Dame for his Master of Architecture. And he's contributed to a number of projects across the United States, but he's also done some things like in Zanzibar. As far as I know, I'm about the only one of my friends who's been to Zanzibar, so I really want to hear about that project. He's a board member of the AIA in Pasadena Foothill chapter. But what Foothill Catalog is, you will see, is all of those dream homes you've been thinking about. So Alex.
Yeah, thanks, Ursula. I'm originally from Chicago, but now Pasadena now. Live up right by John Muir High, where my wife and I have been for the past 5 years. Yeah, this one should be good. Foothill, yeah. Is this the beginning too? Yes. Just to if I break it, it's okay.
See how that feels?
Yeah, feels good.
Okay.
A little bit closer. Okay, can everyone hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So thank you, Ursula. Thank you to the Pasadena Senior Center for having us here. A lot of you might have heard about the Foothill Catalog Foundation. As Ursula said, we're a local nonprofit. Me and my wife founded this back in January, days after the fire, as we were evacuated for our own homes and as architects, but more importantly, as members of this Pasadena, Altadena community. We were trying to find a solution, trying to find answers to help as many people rebuild as possible. So I'll take 10 minutes here. I'm going to set a timer for my own good. And just give you guys an overview of kind of what the Foothill Catalog Foundation is, what we are doing, and where we're looking to provide resources for this rebuild effort. And of course, we'll be on the panel, we'll be at the table back there to answer all of your questions. So again, we are a nonprofit organization with the mission to develop a collection or a catalog of pre-approved home designs for displaced residents to affordably, expeditiously, and resiliently rebuild their homes following this devastation of the fires. But while collectively retaining this community, there we go, locking in, this community identity and the regional character, the heritage that's really important in this community too, and really valued by the people who live here, myself included. So I don't have to go into too much detail. You guys know why this place is so special, why Altadena, why Pasadena is so special. And it's the mix of people that have come through this place and have called it home over the 140-year history of this place. And that's represented in the diversity of the architecture as well, the diversity of the built environment. Your different architectural styles of your craftsman bungalows, your Spanish homes, your mid-century modern homes and beyond. But that's reflected by the people too, and it's artists, landscapers, painters, but it's also celebrities, tech moguls. It's all these people, different people living in harmony in Altadena. And not only these large landmarks that we know and love, but I mean where that character comes from is in these smaller homes and in the neighborhood scale. And these were the homes that were lost. And the people that lived there, the fire did not discriminate between who had insurance, who did not, between who was wealthy and who had a large family and who had been there or for generations or who had been there for a few years. So now as we look at this unprecedented disaster, and we're looking to help everyone to be able to come back to this place and try and close the gaps in cost, in time, and in knowledge that it takes to go through the custom rebuild process. And really trying to create a mechanism or a model for people to do that easily and efficiently and affordably while still maintaining a high level of quality that's fitting for what we know in the 21st century of best practices of construction, but is also reflective of the spirit of this place and is retaining why we love Pasadena, why we love Altadena, and that architectural character, that heritage is still very much present as well. So that's really the two core tenets of what Cynthia and I, my wife, who founded the Foothill Catalog Foundation, wanted to focus on, is a mechanism to retain the people, as many people as possible who are looking to rebuild, but also simultaneously retaining the place. So that's where the Foothill Catalog Foundation looks to be a resource for everyone, regardless of their situation, regardless of what home type they're looking for, what style. We are providing a catalog of pre-approved home designs that will give people optionality of what home they want to build. And while it's not a custom home, it mirrors the spirit of a model that many of you might be familiar with, which is the Sears catalog of the 20th century. And what the Sears catalog was, it was sort of this exact same model of providing a variety of quality pre-designed home types that that people all across the country could order out of the Sears catalog and have the materials shipped directly to your home. And it was an incredible way for people to build equity on their land and build quality housing efficiently and really build the American dream. And that spirit of this program, of this model, is exactly what we're trying to revive and rekindle in this disaster relief scenario in Altadena in 2025. And so what we're building is this Altadena specific, this regionally specific catalog reflective of the people and the place that is at risk. And so I'll flip through some of our early designs that you can see, but these are homes that people who live here and know this place inherently recognize as being of Altadena and being fitting of the place and fitting of the families that we're trying to help. So each one of these designs, the idea is to provide, what the Foothill Catalog Foundation is doing as a nonprofit organization is really trying to limit the amount of time and resources it takes to go through what is typically a really arduous building process. And so what typically takes months and years to go through design, permitting, and construction, what the pre-approved plan, what the Foothill Catalog model can help do is shorten those time spans and completely eliminate some of them. So on the design side, we are taking all of these designs that you just saw, and we are creating a full set of construction drawings, architectural drawings, structural drawings, energy calculations, that allow these plans that are not site-specific to be pre-permitted by LA County, pre-approved by LA County. So that once a homeowner is interacting with different designs in a catalog, whether they're looking for something that's 800 square feet, 1,500 square feet, 3 beds, 2 bath, 2 beds, 1 bath, there's enough variety and options that they can select a plan that meets their lot requirements, meet their budget requirements, and they're already so far ahead in the process. So it's a real head start for homeowners and for people looking for quality homes that don't want to go through every single step of the process. And this predictability in design and in permitting also imbibes predictability in the construction process as well. So looking to find ways that contractors and builders can execute these plans at scale for an affordable price. So this predictability really helps in all stages of the design and the build process. And so the progress of what we've been looking to do, by the end of this month, we'll be rolling out about 10 different designs that have different iterations too. So for instance, the Lewis 2 was a different iteration of the Lewis with a different porch condition, but is the same plan. The Palm is also a similar version. But again, these are reflective of the diversity of architectural styles and housing typologies that you find all over Pasadena, all over Altadena. And so whether you're looking for a Tudor Revival home or a Spanish Mission Revival home or a mid-century modern home, we're looking to provide options for everyone that aren't custom designs and can't be changed, but can give homeowners back the ability to choose what they build on their lot and really make rebuilding feasible for as many people as possible. This is me and my wife Cynthia. Again, we are Pasadena residents ourselves. We were founders of this organization, and now we've grown our team. And Mackenzie, who's here too, is part of the team too. So we're all a group of architects, building professionals that are creating this process, this resource for the community. And I think it's really important as a nonprofit to try and channel this shared vision of what Altadena can become, what it was, and what all of us are hoping it can be for our own families, but for the community at large in the future. And so it's really been a great collaborative effort, and I'm glad Habitat for Humanity is here as well. That was one of our first collaborations that we worked with them since January to develop designs that Habitat could execute for families that needed it the most. And on this pre-approval process, the Lewis, which I flashed, you can kind of see small here, and we actually have a scale model of it at the table back there as well. But that was the first design pre-approved by LA County in the history of LA County. It's this new permitting process that we've worked with LA County, worked with Habitat for Humanity to develop real resources for families who need to return to their lot, that need to return to their home, and need to return to their communities as soon as possible. So this past month we had a great kind of kickoff event with Catherine Barger, with Habitat for Humanity, and with the Foothill Catalog, celebrating this milestone of the first pre-approved plan. and we're looking to put it to use immediately with the Wood family on Fair Oaks and Pine. And that was also, so this was, we've had all these other great community events and opportunities to interact and really listen to homeowners who are looking for resources and try to build this catalog for you, for the town, for the people who need it the most. And this is the kind of feedback we've gotten from day one of people who really appreciate what we were doing and have found the resource, their rebuilding resource, and the easiest way for them to get back into a quality home, back into their community as soon as possible. And whether it's seniors, young couples, multi-generational families, I think there's a resource and an option for everyone in the Foothill Catalog that can help people get back as quickly and as expeditiously, as resiliently as possible to make this place whole again. So with that, I'm at exactly 10 minutes, so that was great. I'll leave it at that, but if you want to go to our website, there's a lot more designs, a lot more information. Of course, Mackenzie and I will be here to answer any questions. You can always email us at info@foothillcatalog.org, and those on social media, you can always go to our Instagram at the Foothill Catalog. So thank you very much. I look forward to speaking with all of you again. Thank you.
There's a lot of different approaches to building. And I know when I was young and I first heard the idea of modular building, I kept thinking, what's a trailer? And that's all you can see. And a friend of mine, in fact, she was one of the greeters here, was in her friend's modular home recently and said, it just looked like a home. And so one of the things the county, I'm also sit on Catherine Barger's Altadena Rebuild and Recovery and Rebuild Corporation. One of the things we are partnering with CityLAB, our next guest speaker, is to show the real alternatives there are in today's modular homes. Ryan Convoy is the CityLAB's associate director. He actually, like 10 years ago, was one of the beginning fellows when he was still a student. But he's recognized for the innovative models and in terms of new ways of approaching building and things that are very climate adaptable. And we're a place that needs to be able to respond to our very warm summers and our cooler winters. He's held research positions at UC Berkeley and has actually worked in the Los Angeles Department of Planning, so he knows the opposite side of what you all go through when you're sitting there dealing with planning and you first take your plan in. CityLAB started as a think tank, and it continues to explore new approaches to how we look at city and urban problems. And so I'm really excited to have Ryan Convoy here to tell us a little bit more about what they're doing.
Thanks, Ursula. That's a very kind intro. So I'm Ryan Conroy. I'm with CityLAB. We are a group that kind of spans the worlds of architecture and urban planning and legislation out of UCLA's architecture school. And we have the privilege of having the sort of agility to chase ideas and projects where they lead us. So sometimes that's to legislation. Our director, Dana Cuff, co-wrote the statewide legislation that enabled accessory dwelling units across all of California. Sometimes that's to school campuses where we're studying how to make teacher housing available statewide. Sometimes that's to a mayor's office or a city hall. We're working with the city of LA on opening up new ways for starter homes to be built all across the city. And in this instance, it's to a rebuilding process and a couple of vacant lots that the county owns that they asked us to study how we could put forth demonstration cases for modular construction. So we're standing up what we're calling a prefab showcase, which is kind of a two-stage initiative, letting folks kick the tires, so to speak, on prefab or offsite construction. Ursula, like you said, lots of people arrive at this with some preconceived notions of prefab being trailers or prefab being just ADUs. Prefab is really a big umbrella term, And there are lots of different channels under that to sort of arrive at the building you might need. Sometimes it's volumetric. You can think of that like big Lego blocks that arrive on the back of a trailer and are stitched together on site. Even the Sears catalog was a form of prefab that came flat packed. You would call that like a kit of parts or a panelized system. So what we're trying to do is put forward some architectural research to help answer some of the questions that we're hearing from Altadena families right now, such as how do I afford reconstruction? Well, prefab is kind of a known quantity where it comes with a fixed price often, and that might lend some stability to the path forward. How can I return home quickly? Prefab is nothing if not expeditious, since you're working in sort of a controlled environment that comes off-site and really minimizes the time on-site. How do we protect against future disasters? I'll say the tolerance level and sort of design quality of these is almost closer to sort of aerospace manufacturing than it is typical site-built construction. And what does my new neighborhood look like? And that's one that we're really sensitively trying to curate a real breadth of architectural styles and home types and price points to put forward a variety of solutions, because we know that there's no one path back home for Altadena families at the moment. And I think key to this is that CityLAB is sort of a neutral party. So we appreciate that often a lot of folks have questions about, maybe I want a prefab ADU or this website looks pretty appealing. We have no skin in the game. So I don't work for a prefab company. I don't get commission if you choose to buy one or not. What we're trying to do is sort of clear the weeds for others to follow and put forth a demonstration case on Lincoln at the edge of the burn area just across from Super King. Both a temporary and a permanent installation of prefab units. So at the site on Lincoln and Archwood, we'll have 7 prefab homes, hopefully opening up about end of August, where folks can come through and see for themselves whether something like this might work for their family. And then just around the corner on Archwood, there's 2 county-owned lots where we'll actually be building them permanently to show an even broader example of what these homes might be when they're fully set into the ground, when they're a little bit larger. So you'll be able to walk through something like a 2-story, 2,000 square foot, 4-bedroom home. And we are hoping that that really broadens the conversation to folks who had maybe ruled out prefab or thought that modular wasn't necessarily for them. So I think I've laid out the opportunities for the showcase. I want to just clarify that prefab means a lot of things to a lot of people. For some, that's precast concrete panels. For others, that's volumetric. For others, that's panelized. We'll include as much of a variety of a construction system typology as we can in the showcase. And there's different home types as well. There's ADUs that are prefab, there's multifamily, there's even a growing market for single-family homes that arrive in a kind of volumetric condition. And so the real challenge is mapping the home type and the construction system to the lived reality in Altadena right now. And what we're finding is that there's no typical scenario, say. We're hosting these community outreach meetings at the Altadena Library, and the sorts of things that we're hearing is, for some folks, I just need to get back on my lot as soon as I can. And my loss of use coverage is going to run out, and temporary housing is really not working for me. For someone else, they're concerned about escalating material costs or labor shortages. Or for someone else, maybe they're just exhausted, and being on the client side of commissioning a totally bespoke piece of architecture, and this is true for the catalog as well. Maybe you just don't need to be deciding the hardware on your 3rd bathroom or how wide the opening to your living room is. There are other things we understand you're going through. And so, why not put forward the option of buying a home like the rest of us that has its pros and cons, and you sort of pick from what's available. So, mapping the available home type, such as, say, a nano nest, which is already installed in Altadena, might help you get back on your land sooner than you expected. Reframe Systems has, at a set cost, a 4-bedroom, 2-bath prefab home that'll be pre-approved for LA County. Geologic has backyard cabins. Maybe that's a rental property or a place for an extended family member. So what we're really trying to do is kind of show a way of curating a real breadth of price points, home types, and construction systems so that you might be able to reasonably decide for yourself whether this is going to work for you without having to, say, go through the whole process of commissioning it and putting all of your insurance money into what might be still a risk at this point. So here's just a sketch of what that showcase might look like. On 2 lots side by side, 2 single-family homes and 2 ADUs, and then around the corner for, say, 6 to 8 weeks, a larger expanded temporary version that'll have smaller mobile units with an expanded vendor showcase area. So I alluded to these community workshops, and there's just a couple of key points that I want to illustrate here in the way we've been framing how to understand prefab models. So often these work as a kind of turnkey solution where you're almost buying it out of a catalog, say, or off of a website. And what we're trying to do is not talk through specific products themselves. Say, here's the Samara 2-bedroom unit, it costs this, or here's the cover ADU, it costs this. But start to understand what trade-offs you can expect to navigate as you decide whether something like this might work. So cost is obviously important. I would say what prefab offers in cost is the sort of stability of the cost, is the turnkey solution of interfacing with one entity who's going to provide something at a fixed price. We know that there's an unstable labor pool right now, sadly. We know that we're expecting material shortages. So if you're a little bit skeptical of hiring one GC and having them fight just your one project all the way to completion, maybe there's something about the economy of scale that working with a larger company might offer. And again, we're a research group, so if you decide to take this or leave this, that's totally up to you. Adaptability. Different construction systems map a little bit differently to the degree in which they might lend themselves to personalization. So we're putting forward ideas of hybrid approaches. You can see on the top right, this is a prefab development, believe it or not. It's kind of a hybrid approach where volumes arrive on site, and then site-built construction adds on, say, screen porches or dining patios, the sort of things that I think really made Altadena and Pasadena special in offering a connection to nature and to landscape and allowing you to enjoy the sort of temperate climate that we all live here for. So we're putting forward, ways in which units might map a little bit better or worse onto your family and your lot's needs. Altadena character, we heard a lot about this. Prefab is not necessarily just sleek contemporary boxes. There are many different companies that are putting forward abstractions of craftsman homes or mid-century homes, seen here at Geologic or Super LA's models. So, don't rule that out just because you think there's a certain architectural style that might come with that. Fire resilience, I think the materials will be very evident that Class A roofing, fire retardant siding, also sort of architecturally, fewer re-entrant corners, fewer projecting eaves might lend themselves well to fire safety. And then ease and speed of construction. So there's a little trade-off here with the degree of personalization might take longer, but that's up to you to sort of navigate yourself. So maybe that's enough to cover in one go, but I'm happy to answer questions as you have them. Just a little bit about the larger team we're working with. RNLA has been great. Dina Heels and Community Women Vital Voices are really active in Altadena, and we're also working with the ARC to open up the county's resources to help navigate this process. So happy to answer any questions you might have, and I'll be at a table in the back. Thank you.
Sometimes it's hard for us to remember that we weren't the only ones who went through a fire on the 7th and the 8th, and that our friends in the Palisades suffered about the same number of losses and are dealing with many of the same things. I am proud to say that we're ahead of them in terms of our putting together community responses and nonprofit and what the collaborative is doing and other things. So I'm very proud of how our community has come together, but there's some great things happening there as well. And I became aware of the Sunset Mesa Collective because a friend of mine lost his home in the Palisades and was very interested in what they were doing. And James Hughes, who is the principal architect, and he's a partner both at MRAD Architecture and the Sunset Mesa Collective, is trying to lead fire-impacted communities with new approaches to how do you just drive down those costs? What kinds of things can make it more effective? And their idea, much like the Foothill Catalog, is community-driven. And so I'm very pleased to welcome James to speak to us today.
Thank you, Ursula. And can you all hear me? Awesome. I'm a little taller, so I'm going to raise up. And thank you to the Pasadena Senior Center for coordinating all this. This is incredible. I'm just going to pull up my slides here. I'm not used to Macs, so bear with me. I think so. Yeah, here we go. Cool. So we just had a town hall with Sunset Mesa earlier this month, and I'm just presenting this, which we showed all the residents. So we've been working with Sunset Mesa, which is an unincorporated neighborhood in LA County. There's about 300 or so residents, and they're a HOA community, so they're very coordinated with the rebuilding effort. And we've been providing a lot of pro bono consultation and guidance, one-on-ones, just trying to navigate everyone through this rebuilding process. And it just went to some of our previous experience working on modular and prefab construction, past projects, a lot that Ryan had mentioned in his presentation, where we thought this could be a good solution to offer to residents as a rebuild option. So in general, we collaborated with some partners, IMRAD, which is my primary architecture firm, and MGMT Partners, who they're a project manager and coordinator firm. So they do some owner representation and developer initiatives. And then we've got some fabricators, which we've partnered with Canyon Builders, which is a site-built contractor. And we're also looking into multiple manufacturers who are going to help off-site build people's homes. What's interesting about Sunset Mesa was it was a tract home development back in 1965. So a lot of these homes were mid-century style, and it's something that's really important to the community to kind of preserve. So we wanted to keep that true, similar to Altadena, just preserving the craftsman characters, but presenting something in kind, but better in terms of fire resilience and sustainability. So the problems we're facing, everyone's concerned about construction costs and rising costs, tariffs, all these different things which are to be seen. So we've factored that into our pricing to kind of get ahead of that. And also just with fabricators, they have relationships with suppliers and sub-consultants, which we can kind of build and continue to grow. So that'll also save some costs in the rebuilding effort. And by building off-site, we find that it's going to bypass any potential shortages with contractors here or price gouging. So we've been vetting all of the builders and partners so that we can get ahead and avoid that. And supply chain issues. So just, again, with tariffs and international trade and construction materials, these are all things that could get bottlenecked at some point when 300 people in one neighborhood are rebuilding at the same time. So we want to organize this, and it's a lot to consider, in addition to navigating insurance and claims and trying to clean up your site for homeowners to do all of this on top of rebuilding and redesigning their home. So how can you expect to, even myself as an architect, I find it just stressful and unimaginable to handle all of this at once. So our group wanted to present, I'll skip through a couple of these slides, an all-in-one solution. So we formed the Sunset Mesa Collective, which we do project management, design, engineering, home rebuild, financing support, and consultation. and we help coordinate the construction and quality control. So that's through construction, we'll be on site, helping address any issues that come up. The team, so I kind of mentioned it before, this is the short list that we have right now, and there's more partners involved. But we've got IMRAD with architecture, MGMT, NV5, which is civil, and LFA, which is our structural team, and fire resilience. We've got fire advisors from SGH, which Nate Witzek has been greatly involved with this whole rebuild effort, so he's been coordinating with us as well too. And on the builder side, we're shortlisting some contractors and builders as well too. So as I mentioned before, we're doing all of this so that the homeowner is just over here and they don't have to worry about this. So we manage it, we become the point of contact, and we have one single contract which can help manage all these consultants. Resilience, sustainability, this is huge, everyone's aware of it, and so we think this is top-notch concept for our rebuilds. We need to make sure it's non-combustible exteriors. We're proposing steel frame systems, which is above, your standard wood construction, and all the other things that have kind of been touched on in the previous presentations. So, other benefits of off-site construction is just speed of execution. It's done quality controlled in a factory. There's more automation, there's more repetition. We can find efficiencies here by either prefab panels for your home or volumized modular, which will help cut costs. And on top of that, it goes through permitting at the state level. So we don't have to permit all of it through the county. We can do portions of it with the state, and it helps cut time. So this is Sunset Mesa. This is the community that we started with, and we have identified zones of defensible space and just want to work with the HOA to also rebuild resiliently on a community level, because that'll make the community more insurable. So if we can convince insurance companies, hey, we need to cut down premiums and these insurance costs. Well, how can we prove that? And how can we build the community in a better way? So in terms of the resident on the home level, we've started with 3 of the most popular plan types. And these were the 1965 plans, which we were able to secure from some residents. And we're proposing a like for like, so staying within that 110%, staying within that original footprint, so that we can expedite on the county permits. And we're also offering a custom approach too. So residents who want to pursue more customization or a more tailored approach, they can do that. They just have to understand that the costs and the time involved is going to be greater. So our standardized layouts are as follows. Just a rebuild of a modular atrium home, which was one of the most popular homes in the community. There was an atrium that they wanted to keep. It wasn't as popular as the next one, which is just a simple kind of ranch style mid-century modern home with 3 or 4 bedrooms. So far our residents are inclined to this option. We've got about 15 or so who are rebuilding with this. The square footages here are a little bit larger, so it's much larger than Altadena, probably 2,000 to 3,000 square foot homes. The lot sizes are larger too, but that isn't to say we can't apply the same concept here in Altadena or Pasadena. Slide through some of these. So the timelines, very similar with precision built is what we're calling it because it's a hybrid approach. We can cut down the length of the project probably about 30%. So we can save in time there, and time saves money. Here as well too, estimated construction costs will probably drop between 30 and 40%. So that's all in, that's soft costs and hard costs, so design, construction. And then the single point contract, I think it's something that will relieve some of the burdens of the homeowners, and we'll look at their insurance, we'll give them a feasibility study, we'll design everything from SD through to the fabrication drawings. So we're doing that all in-house through all of our partners. And I'll just touch through some of these, but finishes, I mean, these are the modular builds we're talking about. This is a hybrid built, volumized modular, and it's higher end. It's nothing like what you would expect from a prefab or mobile home. It's just like any other home. And that is about my 10 minutes, but these are all available online on our website at sunsetmesacollective.com. Feel free to reach out to us, and we're happy to do a feasibility report or put you in touch with our team to navigate rebuilding.
And I do want to make it clear, I talked to James, they're interested in doing the same thing up here that they're doing at Sunset Mesa. So the idea of the sort of one-stop, hand your insurance policy to help you figure out the gap and that kind of thing. Ruthie Blake is our next speaker, and Ruthie is from Habitat for Humanity, and she's the corporate partnership officer, which I think probably means a lot more than the title shows. But she's out there getting to know, build the relationships that are needed in the community to move forward. I'm very excited that Habitat has started, I believe, the first 25 homes they're ready to go with in the Altadena area. One of them, they're starting with the Foothill Catalog. But they're looking for a number of other opportunities to help people. And so I think you've all heard of Habitat for Humanity, but I'm not sure if you know how active they have been in our community and throughout the San Gabriel Valley. So I welcome Ruthie Blake.
So I am short, we have to adjust this. All right. Can everyone hear me? Yeah. Okay. There. All right. Can you hear me now? Yes. Okay, perfect. Thank you. Well, thank you so much for having Habitat for Humanity here. We really do appreciate this opportunity. I have my notes here. Hopefully I can stick within the 10 minutes. I'm a storyteller and I have my notes to keep me on track. Otherwise, I'm going to be telling you all about our homeowners and how wonderful they are. And I'm happy to tell you about that later when we're sitting in the back. But I will stick right now to what I have scheduled. So I am the corporate partnership officer at Habitat for Humanity, and that basically means that I work with organizations and corporations to help the financing, really, of the homes that we build. And we recognize that this has been an overwhelming time for the community, and it's been a painful time as well. And although we cannot take away that pain, what we can offer is a partnership. We want to be there alongside as you rebuild your home and as we rebuild the community that has been affected by the fires. A little bit about Habitat for Humanity. We have been in the San Gabriel Valley for 30 plus years. And our mission is to work with the community to build homes, community, hope, for people that are in need. We work with low-income, first-time home buyers, hard-working families providing them opportunities for affordable home ownership. And affordable home ownership means that you don't pay more than 30% of your income. And a lot of us are paying more than 30% of our income on our housing needs here in California. That's primarily what we focus on, and of course when the fires happened we redirected, and we are committed to working with the families in the community to rebuild Altadena. We want to know that you have options if you are interested in rebuilding, and Habitat can possibly be one of those options for you. We do serve 31 communities in the San Gabriel Valley. So what have we really done so far in the community? Well, we've been doing a lot of community outreach, and we've been listening to the families, we've been listening to the community and finding out what their needs are. We have worked with a lot of different organizations, including the Foothill Catalog, and they have provided us with a wonderful 3 designs actually, and you'll be able to see one of them in the back, and I also have some slides here. We have been working with the county and submitting permits, and we will have the first 5 homes ready to go and up and running, 5 homes by the end of the year that we will be building. We are at heart a community builder, and so we do have volunteers that help us in the building process. That's how we streamline, that's how we keep things affordable, and that provides people an option. So what we are building, we are basically building standardized and efficient homes. We are targeting about $400 a square foot. That's all inclusive. That's the design, that's the build, that's keeping everything really affordable. And we thank Foothill Catalog for helping us do that with the designs that they are providing us. We cannot build the home that you had. We're unfortunately not able to build custom homes, but we can afford these beautiful designs and efficient homes, all electric homes for you. We also plan for providing gap financing. So what does that mean? That means that we're going to be able to cover the costs that is the difference between your insurance. So we want to know that we don't want you to incur any additional costs. We want to make sure that you're not going into debt in your rebuilding process. So, if you feel that you are underinsured in any way, we might be an option for you. I know that a lot of times other contractors out there are charging from $600 to $800 a square foot. So we might be an option for you. There's also, that's one of the models that I was talking about, that's the Lewis. And then in addition, we also have our offering ADUs. And so the average applicant, so we've been receiving hundreds and hundreds of applications, and the average applicant is about 72 years old. And so a lot of them didn't think that they were going to be able to rebuild until they found Habitat for Humanity. And so in addition to the primary home, we are also offering ADUs. And this is flexibility for the homeowner. So we're using this in various ways, and most of our applicants want these accessory dwelling units. And so we can build the primary home, and then on the same property, we can build the ADU. This allows for families that are multi-generational, or it is income property, so that it can help them a little bit. They can rent out that ADU. Or if they don't quite know what they want to do with their land, if they want to build the primary home, they can first build an ADU, which we can build quicker, and then they can take their time to decide if they want to continue with the primary home. So we're just offering, we want people to know that you do have options, and that if you want to rebuild, that we're here to help you make that decision and help work with you. So in addition to there's some people who unfortunately lost their home, and then there are others who had maybe some fire damage. Well, we also have a division that is just doing the repairs. So that would be the fire remediation and minor repairs that are caused by fire. So we have both a rebuilding and a repairing division with Habitat. In order to see if you are eligible, we have an application process. It's very simple. You go on our website. We also have flyers in the back that have our website and more information, and you just simply fill out brief information. It's called an intake form. Once you do that, we will provide you with more information to see if you qualify. The qualification, we normally work with low income, but because of this situation, we have increased that from low income to moderate income. This is all based on HUD regulations. And so we have a chart on our website to see if you qualify. And the financing, I would say that everyone is individual, and it's based on your own insurance. We will work with your lenders and your insurance companies, but it's very much on an individual basis. So if you have questions about that, I would first talk to us about the application process and all of that first. This is just a conversation. When you apply for the intake, when you fill out the intake form, and when we send you the application, you're not committed to anything. We're just having a conversation. We just want you to know that we're here to help in this process. And finally, that when we are a one-stop shop, so we're going to be there from the beginning all the way to the end, from the through the entire building process, and we fill you in step by step on what's going on with the process in the construction, keeping you informed. And the other opportunities that we have is our restore. So if you are interested in or need some support, we have events that we hold at the restore that are distribution events. We provide deep discounts on items that you might need, furniture, blankets, home goods. So you can visit us at our restore, and that's in Pasadena. And we're providing our fire survivors with all kinds of benefits and needs for, things that they need presently. And I think that for the most part, wraps up what we're doing. I just wanted to give you an overview of what we're doing and what we're providing. And we have more information. We are in the back. We have more information. You can ask more detailed questions. And I want to thank you very much for this opportunity.
So I'm going to ask our speakers to join me at the panel, and we're going to do a couple general questions and things that I know have come to mind as you sat here, and then we will break and you can meet with them individually at the table. So if the panelists would join me, please. So I'm sure that everything you heard raised another 250 questions for you. It does for me. I lost 2 homes and have been trying to figure out what I'm going to do. But a couple of the things really overlapped, and I thought it was interesting that Sunset Mesa seemed to be doing a little bit about what CityLAB was talking about in terms of using some modular, but also using some more individualized approach. So I'd like the 2 of you to talk about how your ideas sort of overlap And James will start.
Yeah, we worked a lot with modular and prefab systems on hospitality and some residential projects in the past. So we're familiar with it. We've got a lot of experience working with it. And with our residents, we proposed it as an option to kind of cut costs. We've partnered with about 6 different fabricators to gather pricing. Each manufacturer has different parameters, so we've tried to factor those into designs across the board. We just also want to provide a more tailored approach because some fabricators don't accept that. They need to be a little boxed in by different parameters. So if we do like a panelized approach, we can provide more custom solutions to residents who don't like the typical plan. I mean, some people look at a typical plan, and they're like, that's not how I envision my new home, or that's not how my bedroom should be, or my living room layout. So we want to accommodate that as well and not hold up any efficiencies that we might get from a hybrid modular or a panelized system. And I think Ryan talked a lot about that too, so.
Press the green.
Sure, yeah, okay, great, I think we're good. I do think there's a sort of alignment of the logic and the way we're approaching, trying to view a holistic approach to rebuilding. I would say that the teams we end up routing through are probably different. So if you're starting a prefabrication business, it's a really big effort to pull a factory online. And half of that group is dedicated towards, say, taking orders from big developers that want to build a new tract development, maybe from James's team, who has dozens of homes in Sunset Mesa, and they're going to start to schedule those orders in their factory floor out months in advance. Other folks are, say, offering products directly to consumers, and that's, say, Cover or Samara or some of these companies that are more direct to consumer. And we're going through an exercise where we want, at the end of the day, to put forward options that will be available to you as a homeowner. So even though our logics are probably aligned, we're more in the direct-to-consumer end of prefab companies, and you're probably working more directly with panelized and volumetric builders to arrive at the same conclusion, but probably in a parallel route.
Absolutely.
One of the things, and I know for me, I'm looking at building everything sort of ADA compliant because I don't know how long that I'll be able to walk around. And I'm wondering who in their design and their thinking is thinking about the senior and what they may need. And I'm going to start with you guys. And this is Mackenzie Champlin, who's also a member of Foothill Catalog. So since I haven't heard from you, I'll start with you.
All right, I'll kick it off. Yeah, at the Foothill Catalog.
You turned it
Oh,
off.
I'm turning it
No,
off.
now you're good.
Now it's good. All right. Yeah, I mean, this has been a central question for us as we think about this catalog model. And when you take a home and put it in a catalog, it needs to work for everybody. And central to that idea is thinking about how it works for seniors and how it works for people with varying abilities. And so we want to bake into these designs ADA accessibility, so that translates to things like door widths and making it so that people in wheelchairs can get into the master bedroom and into the bathroom and turn around inside the bathroom. And we're building the kind of backing into the walls that would allow you to provide grab bars in the bathrooms. And so it's part of our strategy, providing this catalog of providing designs that exceed like the typical code requirements and thinking about kind of categories like livability and providing these kind of baseline changes that would allow people with different abilities to live in the plans, but also going into categories like sustainability and resiliency and many things that James was talking about at the Sunset Mesa Collective, elevating these homes that we're trying to provide to the community to be exceptional and to have added benefits so that it's not something that's just getting turned out, but it's really like an added value to everybody that chooses to live on these plans.
And Ruthie, how are you guys taking that into account when you're building a home for someone?
I think that we are working with the Foothill Catalog, and I think that we are have the similar approach to looking at the future, looking at, I mentioned that about the average age is about 72. So we're really taking that into account and working with Foothill Catalog and the design so that we can address those issues.
Ryan, what are you finding when you talk to these various modular builders? Are any of them taking senior specific needs into account?
Sure. I think there's a built-in flexibility with these sorts of products where people have been asking us, was it an ADU? Is it a primary home? And ADUs actually get up to 1,200 square feet, and many of the primary homes we lost were significantly smaller than that. So there's always a kind of blurry boundary, and it's about finding what's going to work for your lot and your family. I will say that what we're focused on is actually providing a fully accessible showcase so that everyone can see the types of products that they might be interested in. So our own work will be fully accessible with ramps up to the units because they'll need to sit above grade. And I want to make note that CityLAB and our team is making a special effort to eliminate any kind of accessibility barriers to the educational component of our workshops and the showcase. And I think the individual vendors would be happy to tell more about ways in which they've accommodated something like roll-in showers or accessible kitchens into their units. And many of those are kind of baked in from the start, where it wouldn't need to be renovated afterwards, but actually would come pre-engineered for that sort of thing.
James, you brought up in your presentation, and I know it's something we're finding here, that building to scale is incredibly important. And for those of you who aren't familiar with that kind of description, we have found that if we can build 10 homes, not identical homes, they could be different, but if you can build them all at the same time, or one street at the same time, or within a short distance of each other, we can drive down costs. So we're doing a number of things through the collaborative, and we'll be out with information about that, to help people get together and perhaps choose a common contractor, or going through a one-stop system, somewhat like the Sunset Mesa, or maybe even the Sunset Mesa, to be able to build homes. Because if you think about it, if you have your labor force there and they can move from one house to the next, and you don't have to separately stage them, you're going to be able to help drive down costs, which will be a major part of all of our rebuilding. And James, I take it that's sort of a central part of your design.
Absolutely, yeah. I think the Sunset Mesa was a great testing ground for that, and we found that we could save soft costs by our consultants. We could have a surveyor go out there and survey 10 homes versus going out 10 different times to survey different homes. So that's just an example of how you can cut thousands of dollars just from one site visit. But that's also replicated across civil engineers. I mean, not structural engineers, where the foundation design for a typical plan is the same across the board. So there's just efficiencies there. And then to Ryan's point earlier with fabricators, I mean, there's a certain scale that makes factories profitable. So if we can offer them, for example, 10 typical homes or 10 of the same modules, it'll cut costs and make the fabrication costs more efficient and lower. So I think that was the core concept of the all-in-one approach, is just finding those costs that we can reduce in one shop.
Alex, I know when you first started, you were looking at the smaller Altadena homes, but I personally know a number of you in the room, and the homes were any place from 800 to 3,500 square feet. And so what do you see as the long-range vision of your designs?
Yeah, so what we're looking to build as we phase what the catalog is and what range of different home styles, home configurations, home sizes are included, we first looked at what was lost in Altadena and what people are going to be looking to rebuild. And if you look at that bell curve of homes that were lost, you see that peak around in that 1,200 to 1,500 square foot range, a 3-bed, 2-bath. And a lot of us know what that home looks like. It's usually a 1-story, a lot of times it's a craftsman or a Spanish bungalow. And that's sort of what a lot of people are looking for. But then there's so many people that we've talked to who are looking for smaller options and who are looking for larger options. So as we expand the amount of 3-bed, 2-bath homes, we're also now building out that bell curve of having more 800 square foot, 900 square foot homes that fit on a 40-foot wide lot, which a lot of people have, which, that's a hard solution to try and find, but we're trying to address that need. And just for people who have 2,000 square foot homes or larger, that's also a need. I mean, they deserve an option as well. So as we really try to provide and build out this catalog of designs, it's trying to provide multiple options for everyone's different condition.
Okay. We'll take some questions from the audience. Yes.
I have a question. Sunset Mesa is in LA City, correct?
It's actually in LA County, but
Oh, it is
it's neighboring the
So
Palisades.
it's the
Right?
same approval process as Altadena?
Yes, yeah, that's
So
right.
whenever you get approved through that process, the Palisades would also apply to Altadena?
Yes, for those of you who couldn't hear the question, she asked where Sunset Mesa was located. They are also in the unincorporated area of the county. So the question was whether their approvals would apply to the Altadena area or the unincorporated area as well. And the answer was yes. Yes.
Not just a general question, but what control do you have over quality control? You know, how do you monitor what's going on in terms of the work that's being done? Because that's, extremely important.
Typically, and the things we're looking at the collaborative is typically you have a project manager who is responsible for acting on the owner's behalf, overseeing what the contractor is doing. And so assuming that your plans have been plan checked, and there's a lot of new interesting artificial intelligence going on in terms of plan checking, but assuming your plans are adequate, then it'll be up to your project manager. Now, some programs, like Sunset Mesa, build the project manager right into it. And some of the things we're starting to explore in the collaborative will do the same thing. But that's an important question, because you want to make sure that the quality is there. You want to add anything?
Yeah, and quality control starts from the very beginning. It starts from the design process and the permitting process and then the build process. And it's creating guardrails and creating this criteria, specifications, certain design standards to maintain that quality from the beginning to the end. And it's knowing who to trust too. There's so many different people out there and groups out there that offer different things, but it's important to find people that you trust, and that will go a long way to build that relationship with the people you're working with to rebuild your most important asset, your home.
And I'm going to turn to Ruthie on that, because of course you use volunteers to help build, and that's often a question with respect to a Habitat home.
So when you build with Habitat for Humanity, we have our own construction crew, and that's sort of an all one-stop shop. And when we say that we use volunteers for the hammering and the sawing. But when it comes to the plumbing, the electrical work, and even the drywall, we use professionals for that. So although we are a community builder, we welcome the community to come and experience building and give back to the community. Really the intricate part of the house, we do have professionals doing that. So you don't have to worry about that. But we do have a construction crew, and we've been building in San Gabriel Valley for over 30 years, and we have skilled and a talented team leading these projects.
And Ryan, how, as people are looking at modular as an option, how would they determine quality?
One thing we're trying to be transparent about is what goes into each manufacturer's modular unit. And so, Alex, to your point, quality starts early, but it also needs to last for a very long time. And so there's lots of recent, entrance into the modular space with proprietary systems. building your home in extremely novel ways. And so, in one sense, that might offer something like amazing energy performance with much less energy demand to cool and heat your home. In the other sense, that means your home might be built of something entirely different from your neighbor's. So when a pipe bursts in 10 years and that company isn't calling you back, you need to go to Home Depot and get someone to help you fix that. Or you need to sort of like work within the, say, the vernacular of construction systems and readily available labor to maintain the home as well. So as a sort of neutral research group, we're trying to be as transparent as we can be about, what's the long-term viability of the groups that we're platforming and the systems in which they're operating.
Thank you. I think there's a number of other questions. Did you?
Yes, I'd like to know, in a modular home, can you get floor-to-ceiling glass?
The question was, in a modular home, can you get floor-to-ceiling glass? Ryan?
Sure, yes. So in multiple ways. I would say there's two tracks to it. There's a volumetric product, that's Legos, and there's a panelized product, and that's IKEA furniture. So there's like a kit of parts route and a blocks route, and in both I've seen precedents with floor-to-ceiling windows.
Is that more expensive?
That would be dependent on the model itself. I mean, as a rule of thumb, large expanses of glass can be pretty expensive.
When are you going to have the model homes on Lincoln?
We are aiming for end of August to open the temporary showcase, and because the other site around the corner is going to be fully plumbed and pit set and built for permanent residents, that won't be until likely November, December.
Okay, the first ones are going to be Lincoln and where?
Lincoln and Archwood.
And if you are not on the county website or Catherine Barger's site, you should sign up for it because we will be announcing as that becomes available.
With the 100 homes lost in the city of Pasadena, is Foothill Catalog going to submit their plans to them also?
Yeah, correct. So,
Repeat the question.
with 100 homes lost in Pasadena as well, is the Foothill Catalog addressing those homes? And what we worked on with the county to develop this pre-approval process, the city of Pasadena was right there with us in all of these meetings. So with 100 homes versus 5,000, 6,000, the scale is really, Altadena has a much greater need. But 100 homes is still a lot of homes, and those people deserve options as well. So what Pasadena is doing is it's using the pre-approved catalog that is approved through LA County, and they'll have a few other different checks that they'll have to do, but it should be just as efficient to have these pre-approved models that are applicable for Pasadena homeowners as well as Altadena.
In the back.
I'm asking this question because I don't know what I don't know about prefab homes. And so two questions that go through my mind are, one is related to insurance coverage and how do they receive, accept, and cover prefab homes. And the second one is around appreciation and value over time of a prefab versus a traditional.
So there were two questions, just to repeat. One has to do with the insurability of a prefab home, and the other is, do they appreciate in value at the same rate as a traditional stick and wood home?
Two excellent and common questions that we're getting. I'll start with the first one about, well, actually I'll start with insurance. So there is a category of prefab home that if it is entirely mobile, say it's under a couple hundred square feet and under $100,000, that could be insured and classified as something closer to an automobile than a home. I would expect that that's not the majority of interest in this product, so we're tailoring towards 2 to 4 bedroom prefab homes that are, tailored towards Altadena's lots. Those would be fully insurable as typical homes. I think the best example towards the question of appreciation is to look at the ways in which kit of parts homes appreciated at the same rate as site-built homes over the last century. So homes that arrived flat packed, bought out of catalogs, built by, say, tract builders in the same way. It's actually not so different from the logics of prefab construction. And what we're trying to do is be really transparent about the systems within which these products are operating so that you understand what you're getting into. Prefab can really, in many instances, mean the same exact walls as your neighbor. It's just built off-site in a very tightly controlled environment as opposed to built exposed to the elements on site where you're working with rain delays and exposure to climate. It's still wood stud walls connected in the same way to wood frame floors and roofs. So we'll be as open and educational as we can be about what's actually inside the home itself so that you can understand what it is you're buying.
Because we're running out of time, what I'm going to suggest is that we break and have our guests go back to the tables and you address any of your questions. I do appreciate you coming today, and I hope you attend the rest of our series. As I said, our next one will be on insurance and maximizing the use of your insurance proceeds, and in fact, in perhaps in alternate ways than just building a home. That will be August 12th from 10 to 12. And again, my thanks to the Pasadena Senior Center for hosting us and to all our panelists.